All right, good evening, guys. How are you all?
Good, how are you?
I'm great. Doing pretty good. Okay, tonight, what we want to talk about is how can we make our internet safer in our homes for our children, for us, for our spouses, whatever that may be. Now, we know that the internet has lots of great stuff, but the internet has also lots of really bad stuff. Porn, violence, drugs, viruses, you name it, it has it. We all can get it in and on our computers. Okay? Now, if I were to tell you, Bobby, I want you to go work on a Porsche. I'm going to give you this wrench, and I'm going to show you this YouTube video of how to work on it. Well, that doesn't do you much good unless you know how to turn a wrench, correct? So tonight, what we're going to focus on is how the internet works. And once we learn how the internet works, then we're going to learn how we control that to filter what comes into our homes. Okay? So we're going to study how does the internet work. We're going to be studying a few terms. We're going to be studying IP addresses. We're going to study DNS. Okay? Now, if we learn these two topics, then we'll know how to control the internet in our home. Okay? IP address, DNS. We've got two very short videos that we're going to watch. They're less than 5 minutes each, probably. So Zach's going to play them. It's going to be back to back. Zach, if you don't mind, play the how the internet works, the first one, and the DNS second, please. We'll watch those, and then we'll get started.
So, how does the internet work? Most of us know how to use the internet without actually understanding how it works, sort of like electricity in your home. You use it every day, but may not understand the mechanics behind it. And if the electric grid is difficult to understand, then the internet must be impossible, right? Wrong. In the next few minutes, I'll put you in the top 10% of people who understand how the internet actually works. For SecurityCatalyst.com, I'm Aaron Titus. Whenever most people think of the internet, this is what comes to mind. The internet is not a bubble cloud, even in the new age of cloud computing. The whole fuzzy cloud picture was created by people more concerned about job security than education. This is the internet. The internet is a wire, actually buried in the ground. It might be fiber optics, copper, or occasionally beamed to satellites or through cell phone networks, but the internet is simply a wire. The internet is useful because two computers connected directly to this wire can communicate. A server is a special computer connected directly to the internet, and web pages are files on that server's hard drive. Every server has a unique Internet Protocol address, or IP address. Just like a postal address, IP addresses help computers find each other. But since 72.14.205.100 doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, we also give them names like Google.com, Facebook.com, or SecurityCatalyst.com. So this is how it works. Your computer at home is not a server because it's not connected directly to the internet. Computers you and I use every day are called clients because they're connected indirectly to the internet through an internet service provider. Here we'll pretend that this is my home laptop and I'm using DSL. Now let's pretend that I want to visit AOL.com, which is coincidentally both a server and an ISP. I hop onto my laptop with DSL, go through my ISP, onto the internet, and look at AOL.com. My computer connects with AOL.com, and I can look at its web pages. Now let's say that I want to send an email to Aunt Ruth. Aunt Ruth has AOL dial-up from home, and I've got a Gmail account. I log on to gmail.com and compose a message to Aunt Ruth's email address, auntruth@aol.com. Once I click send, gmail.com sends the email to AOL.com. The next day, Aunt Ruth dials into AOL servers and retrieves the email. Whenever an email, picture, or web page travels across the internet, computers break the information into smaller pieces called packets. When information reaches its destination, the packets are reassembled in their original order to make a picture, email, web page, or tweet. Okay, so imagine you're at work sitting next to your boss, and you're both surfing online. Your boss is doing market research, and you're updating your Facebook profile. You're both sending packets back and forth over the internet. But what's to keep your packets from accidentally ending up on your boss's screen? That could be embarrassing. The solution to that problem is IP addresses and routers. Everything connected directly or indirectly to the internet has an IP address. Everything. That includes your computer, servers, cell phones, and all of the equipment in between. Anywhere two or more parts of the internet intersect, there's a piece of equipment called a router. Routers direct your packets around the internet, helping each packet get one step closer to its destination. Every time you visit a website, upwards of 10 to 15 routers may help your packets find their way to and from your computer. Imagine each packet as a piece of candy wrapped in several layers. The first layer is your computer's IP address. Your computer sends the packet to the first router, which adds its own IP address. Each time the packet reaches a new router, another layer is added until it reaches the server. Then, when the server sends back information, it creates packets with an identical wrapping. As the packet makes its way over the internet back to your computer, each router unwraps a layer to discover where to send the packet next until it reaches your computer and not your boss's. And that's how the internet works, in 5 minutes or less. And you're now easily in the top 10% of people who understand the basics of the internet. If you found this video helpful, check out SecurityCatalyst.com for all kinds of ideas on how to protect.
Today, there are people trying to dictate how the domain name system, known as DNS by the cool kids, and by association the internet as a whole, works. Unfortunately, many of these powerful individuals and others don't understand what exactly DNS is. This video is for them and for anyone else that wants to learn about DNS. We are going to go over the basics of what DNS is, how it works, and how if you use the internet, it affects your life daily. Think you know what DNS is already? Stick around anyway, you might learn something. Here at DNS Made Easy, we love DNS, and could obviously spend hours going into each and every detail, but we're only explaining the basics here. If you ever decide to run for public office someday and want to make decisions on DNS, this'll help. Okay, let's begin. The domain name system is indisputably one of the most important and overlooked parts of the internet. Without DNS, the internet as we know it today would collapse, and we would all be licking stamps to pay our bills, driving to an actual store to purchase something, reading the newspaper to see what movies were showing, or buying little round pieces of plastic called CDs to get our music. How can we say that DNS is this important? We all know, or should know, that the computers that make up the internet are set up in large networks that communicate with each other via underground or underwater wires and are identified using strings of numbers known as IP addresses. Since the majority of us lack the mental capacity to sort through and retain hundreds of numerical series, DNS is used to translate an actual name into these numbers. But how does the domain name system work? In a web browser, let's say you enter the URL www.example.com as an example. When you type www.example.com into your address bar, you will actually be looking for www.example.com . Yes, there is a dot at the end of the domain name, one that you never see and one that you never type. When you type in www.google.com, you are actually going to the page www.google.com . Seriously, try it out. Oh wait. Okay, look, that's long enough. Anyway, that end dot represents the root of the internet's namespace.
The root.
Why is this so important? Because this is where it all begins. When you first search for www.example.com, your browser and your operating system will first determine if they know what the IP address is already. It could be configured on your computer, or it could be in memory, what the cool kids call cache. No, not cache as in cash money. The memory cache. C-A-C-H-E. Keep up, will ya? Anyway, so the browser asks the operating system, and they both don't know where www.example.com is. What happens next? The operating system is configured to ask a resolving name server for IP addresses it does not know. The resolving name server is the workhorse of the DNS lookup. It is either configured manually or automatically within your operating system. Your operating system asks, or queries, the resolving name server for www.example.com. The resolving name server may or may not have this in memory, or, cache. Yes, the C-A-C-H-E one, not that, never mind. For the sake of this demonstration, it does not. The only thing that all resolving name servers should know is where to find the
root
name servers. Yes, that enigmatic dot that appears at the end of every domain name you type into that address bar. The root name servers will reply with,
I don't know, but I do know where to find the COM name servers. Try there.
the COM name servers are called the top-level domain name servers, or TLD name servers. The resolving name server then takes all of this information from the root name servers, puts it in its cache, and then goes directly to the COM-TLD name servers. When the resolving name server queries www.example.com, the TLD name servers respond,
I don't know, but I do know where to find the example.com name servers. Try there.
This next set of name servers are the authoritative name servers. So how did the COM-TLD name servers know which authoritative name servers to use? With the help of the domain's registrar. When a domain is purchased, the registrar is told which authoritative name servers that domain should use. They notify the organization responsible for the top-level domain, the registry, and tell them to update the TLD name servers. So, anyway, the resolving name server takes the response from the TLD name server, stores it in cache, and then queries the example.com name servers. At this point, the authoritative name server will say, "Hey, I know where that is! Tell your browser to go to the IP address 192.168.1.1. The resolving name server takes this information from the authoritative name server, puts it in cache, and gives a reply to the operating system. The operating system then gives this to the browser, and the browser then makes a connection to the IP address requesting the webpage for www.example.com. Pretty cool, huh? While the process seems complex, and believe me, it is, this whole cycle takes less time than it takes you to blink an eye. DNS was designed to work extremely fast and efficiently. It is an integral part of the internet. Once you understand this, you can clearly see the many different facets and organizations that are responsible for a single DNS lookup. One lookup! There is a resolving name server, the root name server, the TLD name servers, and the authoritative name servers. If anyone were to dramatically change or filter any part of the DNS process, it could lead to disaster. This is why we believe the people with the power to pass legislation need to understand what's at stake before making decisions that could drastically affect how the internet works. If you want to learn more about DNS and see the DNS process in action firsthand, type www.dnsmadeeasy.com into your browser. Brought to you by DNS Made Easy, providing enterprise authoritative...
Okay, guys, that last one. How many just went? Shh. You know, see, Stephen Hawking can remember. Am I on? He can remember all those numbers and everything in his head, right? Yes. Okay. So that was just to show that things can get really complex really fast. We're going to simplify all that tonight. And we're going to do that by having a little fun. Okay? So you 5 ladies, just come right up here on stage, please. Yep. Come up and stand right here with me. Hey, look, there's going to be a test here in a minute, so you better pay attention. All right. Down here on this end of the spectrum is Beth. Beth is going to play the part of the PC. Okay? She is the personal computer. Yes. Okay? Now, beside of Beth is going to be, beside the PC, is going to be, we're going to say, we're going to call this the router / modem. Okay? / wireless access point / other things. Okay? Now, just in between those two, and we're going to have a discussion about them, but is contained usually in this can be your internet service provider or your ISP. All right? Now, besides your ISP, we're going to talk about a piece that we learned a lot about or heard a lot about so far, and that is a DNS name server. Okay? And beside the DNS name server is going to be one of my favorite things. We're going to call it KK for KrispyKreme.com. And I didn't just pick you to be crispy. It's nothing. Okay. Anyway, so what's going to take place here for us to be able to bring up the internet site KrispyKreme.com on our PC? Well, the first thing that we have to start talking about is IP addresses, okay? Does anybody know what an IP address is or what it looks like? Just a lot of technician blargon to say that I've given this device an address that I can go to. Let's say it's just like a postal address of P.O. Box 101, okay? That's just like a mailing address to you guys. This computer has been assigned an IP address that is just like, in our world of snail mail, a mailing address, okay? Now, the router and the modem, they also have an IP address. They have two, actually, but we're not going to get too deep into that. But let's say it has 192.168.1.1, and it also has 154.63.182.7. Now, why does this guy get two? Okay? Well, it's because that we need an internal side network, or a LAN, L-A-N, that lets us talk to the PCs and say that we have another device over here like a cell phone that's on our Wi-Fi, or we have a television that's hooked in via the internet, something like that. All of these are going to have a specific IP address that deals with this side or our house's world, okay? Now, starting on this guy over here, our internet service provider, which in this case is going to be who? Who do you get your internet from at home? Okay, you get Comcast. All right, or the only other option pretty much is Verizon. Okay, so here are our two choices here in Wise. We either get our internet through Comcast or we get our internet through Verizon. The internet service provider gave us this address, this IP address. Now, what is an IP address again? It's all these numbers, but what can we think of it as? An address. So this said, this one's P.O. Box 1, and this one's P.O. Box 7, or whatever, okay? They're like mailing addresses as we go through. That's what an IP address is. Our internet service provider gave us this address, but we have to talk about one more thing, and that is the difference between, where did we put the marker for that board? Okay? They can either be static or dynamic. Do you guys know what the difference between something that is static and dynamic is? Okay. Static means that it never changes. Okay? It is set and it is always that. Like our friend down here at Krispy Kreme is going to have a static IP address. Let's say it's 69.3.2.117. Krispy Kreme purchased a static IP address so that its server never changes this number, okay? That number never changes for Krispy Kreme, never. Our internet service provider, though, they give us this external address, and guess what happens to it every once in a while? It changes, okay? So instead of you being P.O. Box 7, 3 days from now, you may be P.O. Box .11 or P.O. Box .whatever. This address changes. Well, to be honest, I don't know why it changes, other than the fact that it changes. So, yeah, you have to purchase static ones. So, this right here is where, when we get to filtering, is going to be an issue. This will be an issue when we start talking about cleaning up the internet at our house, because our external IP address for our internet service provided IP changes, okay? So when it changes, we have to do some stuff to help our internet filtering at home. So keep that in mind. All right. Right here is the most important piece, okay? The DNS server. Here's what happens on the DNS server, okay? Which also has an IP address. address. Let's say it's 56.3.2.1, or a more popular one, 8.8.8.8. I'm a user. I come down here to my PC. I want to go to KrispyKreme.com. I type in the computer, www.krispykreme.com. Now, does the PC know where to go to get information from Krispy Kreme down there on the end? No, it don't. So it comes over here, and it goes to our router, and it gets spit out through our internet service provider, and it comes on down here to whatever's listed as its DNS server in the modem and router. And it says, hey yo, say hey yo,
Hey, yo.
DNS server,
DNS server.
do you know where Krispy Kreme is? And it says, of course I know where Krispy Kreme is. It's over in Kingsport, you dummy. No, the DNS server returns an address and says yes. The address for Krispy Kreme is 69.3.2.117. It basically tells what's the P.O. box address, if you will, of Krispy Kreme to the PC, and it comes back over here, and the PC says, okay, I know where Krispy Kreme's at. It's at that number, 69.3.2.117. And it starts browsing to that by IP address. We don't see that, but that's how all these devices communicate, is by these numbers, okay? So if I wanted to go to Krispy Kreme directly without coming through the DNS server, can I go directly to that address? Yes. How hard would it be for us to remember every sequence of numbers of every website that we wanted to visit?
If you did that in the place of the www, you type the letters, right?
You can type that series of numbers, and if your PC's set up in a way that it will respond to that, then yes, you can surf by IP address alone. Okay?
Would that make you go straight to it?
Yes, you will. You'll bypass this guy, and you go directly to Krispy Kreme. Okay? Did you change that locally? You changed it here. Huh? That's an IP address that you're typing in. Now, what devices have IP addresses? All of them, okay? Your cell phone, your laptop, your tablet, your printer, your router, your everything that has a connection to the internet or can connect to the internet, and we've even got refrigerators and Blu-ray players, smart TVs, your thermostat, all those things now connect to this internet, and they have one of these addresses, okay? Now, let's say, and this is what we're going to do, this is just the intro, so we're not going to learn much more than this tonight. We're going to make sure that we all know this, and then we'll move forward. But let's say right here that I'm a bad user, okay? I want to go to www.playboy.com, okay? So, the PC goes where to find out that information? It goes over here to the DNS server, okay? It passes through all of this, and it comes to the DNS server, and it says, hey, yo, Brian over there wants to go to playboy.com. How does he get there? The DNS tells her, here's how to go. She comes back over here. Playboy comes up on the PC, okay? Now, 95% of the products that we're going to discuss and look at are going to deal with Christie's position, the DNS server, okay? What we want to do is we want to intercept the information that comes to her and have it go somewhere else that will filter our internet for us, okay? So Christy gets replaced. Come up here, Kim. Okay. Well, not yet. I'm going to move you. So, what we tell our router at home, which has a place for what DNS server to use. Okay? Your router and modem at home have a place that says, what DNS server do you want to use? How do you want me to resolve these names? How can I figure this stuff out for you, like Krispy Kreme or Playboy or wherever it is you want to go? That's contained in your router. It's also contained on the PC or on your device. But we're going to talk about the one that's on your router because you want to protect your entire home. Okay? Now, we could put that information in a specific device, but it wouldn't do us much good. We want to protect the entire home, so we put that information here. Okay? So here's what happens. Let's talk about one product called OpenDNS. Christy gets replaced. Okay? We put Kim in her place with a different DNS server IP address, 208.321. Of course, all these are made up, but we'll talk about the correct ones later. Kim is now 208.321, and she is a special DNS server that allows us to go in and say, I want to block all porn, I want to block all violence, I want to block all whatever by category. This server knows how everything is categorized on the internet. So when I come over here and I say, I want to go to www.krispykreme.com, the same thing takes place. Beth comes over here, asks Kim, you know where KK is? Yeah. She sends it back, we come back over here, and we serve Krispy Kreme. It's great. Now beforehand, I went in my family, and I've told Kim to block porn. Okay? So I come over here and I say, www.playboy.com. We go over here to Kim. Ask, hey, yo, do you know where Playboy's at? Say, I do, but I'm not going to let you go there. Denied. So we come back over here, and we get a screen up on our PC that says, this has been blocked due to pornographic material. Okay? That's when you start looking around the corner. So this right here, DNS, is going to be the crux of how we make our home safe. Okay? So where'd you go, Krispy Kreme? All right. Any questions so far about this? Does that simplify it a little bit? Okay? When your computer starts talking through all this mumbo jumbo, we don't have to really know how all this stuff works. We don't have to know how the router works or the modem works or how it communicates or anything else. All we need to know is that it has a DNS server in there.
It still goes through the internet service provider, right?
It still goes through the ISP. When it leaves your modem and router, it goes through Comcast. Now, by default, usually, how are we doing on time? Because I didn't want to go too long. Okay. By default, your all's modems at home that come from Comcast or Verizon, they have their own DNS servers. Okay? So it says, hey, go use Comcast DNS to look this information up. And then it comes back. Now we could easily change this. 8.8.8.8 is one of Google's DNS servers. We could say, hey, I don't want to get my lookups from Comcast. Get my lookups from Google. So when we make a request, it'll go over to Google's DNS servers over here and say, hey, yo, where's that website? Google will say, hey, yo, it's over there. The key is to change this DNS on your modem or router at home so that it goes somewhere that is safe. OpenDNS is one of those. We'll talk about more, but what OpenDNS allows you to do is to say, I want to block this category, this category, this category, this category, and that category. You go to a website, opendns.com, okay? We're going to show that in our next series, but when we do that, anything that comes over here and gets on your network, whether it be a friend's phone that comes in, whether it be your son's tablet, your daughter's iPhone, whatever it is that gathers on your network must come through this and then must eventually get sent to here and be filtered and then come back. Okay? Any questions? Kim's done. All right, you ladies go sit down. Thank you. Here's where we run, remember the caveat I told you, we're going to run into trouble with something. What did I say that it was? Our ISP does what? Changes our IP address. When you go into OpenDNS and we look at that, we have to tell OpenDNS our external IP address. What was our external IP address? It was the address that our internet service provider gave us. And it's the one that changes. Okay? This one. This is the one that we talked about. And that's the one that's going to change. So, what we have to have is we have to have a small piece of software that runs on our PC. Okay? That gets our external IP address and it updates it to OpenDNS. That's free. It runs on your PC. When you start it up, it will say, hey, yo, my IP address has changed to this. Tell OpenDNS about it. So it goes over there and tells OpenDNS, hey, their address has changed. They moved. They're not where they used to be. Then that allows our internet to still be filtered because now it knows our new address. All right, that's about all we're going to cover tonight. What we're going to cover next time is these products. OpenDNS. We're going to cover some things for phones and phones that have their own internet connection, like 4G, 3G, all stuff like that. That gets a little bit more tricky, okay? We're going to try to have this one tonight. We're going to try to have next Sunday night right after service again, and maybe 1/3 class. Depends on how much we cover next time. But the next class will be how to configure this, okay, to protect us. Like I said, you can go out there right now, guys, and there are thousands of products out there, and you can spend money on them and pay monthly if you want to. They do the same thing that this is going to do for you for free. I'm cheap. I like free. Cisco recently bought this out, which is unfortunate because usually Cisco is all about making money. Right now, it is still free. I use this in my home, okay? Free on the internet can be dangerous unless you know where to go. So that's why I'm here, to show you where to go to get the free stuff that's not dangerous. Any questions on anything we went over tonight? Yes. Yes. Think of it like this. It's going to be any device. It's going to be a phone. It's going to be a tablet. It's going to be a laptop. It's going to be whether it's Apple or Android or Windows or Linux, whatever it is, as long as it is inside your home network and it gets one of those IP addresses, and it goes out and looks up its DNS at OpenDNS, then it will be filtered, all those devices. Just don't forget that where we're doing it at is at the router level. Once we set it on that router or modem, it covers our entire network. So we only have to set it up one place and on one device.
Set it up on my phone, through my router at home. It'll take care of it.
We'll talk about how to connect to your router. Most time what you do to connect to your router is go to a browser and you type a specific IP address in, the IP address of the router, on the LAN side or on the home side of things. Once we access it, there's a place in there to set DNS. And what we're going to do is manually change it from what Comcast has it set to right now to the DNS servers at OpenDNS. Yes. Usually, though, you will have to use a PC to talk to your modem and router unless you like zooming a lot on small devices. Okay? Any of once we change it on the router and it comes in here and starts communicating to all these devices, the router settings will be filtered down to all these devices, and it'll say, hey, do all my DNS lookup through this server. I'd love to, but I ain't got the money.
The router will connect to DNS and tell their dynamic address.
Do you have a single PC at home or a laptop? That is what we talked about. There is that little piece of software that has to run on some device to say. Right. Now, I haven't checked to see how often this changes. It should run a great long while, but all you have to do is, if you notice, and this is something that you have to do, especially if you've got kids, every once in a while you want to probe the internet a little bit to see if it's blocking everything. Okay? Playboy.com is what we use at school to probe. Typically, there's no nudity on the front page of Playboy, and actually, I think they've gone non-nude now, but they're still classified as an adult site. So, type in your browser, playboy.com, okay? If it comes back and allows you to go to Playboy, more than likely, your IP address is not updated over here with OpenDNS, and you need to open up that little app and tell it what your new address is. At my house, we put on my main PC at home that little app, and it stays on most all the time. So it is constantly talking to that OpenDNS saying, hey, their address is this, hey, their address is that. But good questions, though. It's best to do it that way, yes. Now, OpenDNS, though, is not the only product we can talk about. We can talk about others that are made specifically for phones or any other stuff, but it all revolves around the same principle of blocking the traffic by changing our DNS stuff. Any questions? Thank you. Think I should teach? I think, Zach, did we video this? Yes. So, if something you missed or something that you didn't understand, go back and watch tonight's video. Next night's video will be about OpenDNS itself. We're going to take a look at that product first because it is free and it's super easy to sign up for an account, and it has great options to let you block broad categories like violence or porn or drugs or whatever. Now, is this 100%? Will this clean your internet 100%? No, it will not. Okay? This will keep the majority away. It will keep 95% of the bad stuff out of your home. Yes, viruses will be part of the discussion because a lot of times when we do go to bad sites inadvertently, we get viruses.
I get the virus all the time. Like I go to YouTube, Facebook.
Right. Now there are some other things that we'll discuss, like do you guys get annoying pop-ups in browsers? That pop-up or some voice that comes on and says, "Hey, yo, you've got a virus, la 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 la. The FBI's wanting you, da 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 da." We'll talk a little bit about those and how we can use a product called AdBlock Plus, or especially for Chrome, that will get rid of 99.9% of those problems. Okay? Any other questions for tonight? That may cut into our payments, though. Thank you, guys. We'll do it again next Sunday night. Thanks.